We've reached a critical point in American society. We've reached a crisis level when it comes to our health and our well-being. I remember back when I had first started as a fitness professional, back in the late 90s and the early 2000s, it was easy or simple to lose weight and to get in shape. I had clients, they would come to me and they would ask me to put them a prescription for fitness, a prescription for nutrition. They would work out, they would follow the protocol, and they would get the desired results that they wanted. In the late 90s and the early 2000s, this concept came about, and it's called food allergies and food sensitivities. And back then, people thought I was crazy. And I remember even that at that time, it was kind of hard to believe that 30 to 35% of our population was obese. And at that point, the CDC was saying that we're in trouble. But now, fast forward 20 years later, almost 70% of our society is obese or overweight. And there's no stopping, and the snowball just keeps going down the hill. We spend over $1 billion a year on fitness, nutrition, pills, potions, gadgets, CDs, DVDs, books, and things to try to help us lose weight and get in shape, and none of it's working. We could still, even though we had food sensitivities and food allergies, and I'm not talking about a food allergy where you eat peanuts and you need an EpiPen. I'm talking about a chronic, and that's an acute food allergy. I'm talking about something that's more chronic. For instance, I'll consume something today and I won't have an effect or experience something until a couple days later. For instance, I might have a dull headache. I might have a little bit of joint pain. I might have a little bit of stomach insensitivities. But I don't really associate what happened 2 days ago with what I ate, because a lot of times we don't even track what we're eating. So even though we were introducing things into our bodies that were starting to cause problems, through grit and determination and just muscling through, we were still able to get the desired results that we want. Now, we've come into a completely, what we've done back in the 90s has now come full circle into 20 years later into what we've called now is called weight loss resistance. The same group of people that is looking to lose 10, 15, or 20 pounds can't lose it. The fitness prescription is the same. The nutrition prescription is the same. And I'm not talking about fad diets. I'm talking about real, sound protocol that helps people lose weight, does not work anymore. And now we've termed this, we have this term called chronic illness, or chronic disease. And that includes obesity, that includes diabetes, it includes COPD, it includes PCOS, it includes depression, it includes heart problems, it includes all of these different things. And now everybody has chronic illness and we don't know what to do with it. So now we try to work out and we try to eat right and we try to exercise and we're still frustrated because we don't know what's happening. So this weight loss resistance is preventing people, one, from getting down to the weight that they want and to the look and the feel that they want, but also we also have this increase in chronic illness and chronic disease. So what has changed over the last 20 years? We have GMOs in our food. We have processed food. Everybody eats fast food or eats it out of a box. Stress levels are out of control. When you have stress, you produce adrenaline. When you produce adrenaline, you produce cortisol. And you get that, back in the 90s, we used to call that stubborn belly fat, right? And they used to give you pills or a supplement that would help you control that cortisol level, okay? But obviously, it hasn't worked. So we have two parts of our nervous system. We have the somatic and we have the autonomic. The somatic is voluntary. So if I'm moving my arms, I'm moving my lips, I'm talking, that's somatic. That's voluntary. I'm in control of that. The involuntary part of the autonomic nervous system is also broken. That's involuntary. So that's when my heart is pumping. That's when my digestion is going, things that I can't control. But when you take the autonomic nervous system, you break it down into two more parts, you have the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. The sympathetic is our fight or flight. Our parasympathetic is our rest and recovery. We have become a society so stressed out that we are in sympathetic dominance mode all the time. Now that's the fight or flight. Fight or flight is only supposed to last for 30 minutes. But now it can last for days on end with no moving back into parasympathetic to give the body the rest and recovery that it needs. So if you are living in a sympathetic dominance mode, it's basically like running your car on full throttle all the time and not laying back on the engine. And what's going to happen to that engine? That engine's going to explode. The exhaust from the engine is the byproduct. When we are in sympathetic dominance mode all the time, the byproduct is inflammation. Inflammation is the root cause of all disease. If we can decrease, reduce, and eliminate inflammation, you will have no disease. And that especially is true for chronic illness and chronic disease. Because if you can go back and look at every single chronic illness, and the root cause is inflammation. So we have to really look at our activity and look at our lifestyle and get us back from sympathetic to parasympathetic, where our bodies can rest, heal, recover, and rejuvenate. Now, the medical industry will have you come in, you see a doctor, and go through the process, diagnose you with having type 2 diabetes, give you a prescription, tell you to eat right and exercise, and then send you on your way. Now, I'm not bashing the medical industry. Now, my title says how to regain your health when the medical industry has failed you, or when healthcare has failed you. And it's true. Because I believe that when a doctor, when somebody goes to school, goes to med school, and they want to become a doctor, I truly believe, like my mission in life is to be a servant of people, to help people, to reverse illness and make people better and empower them. And I really believe that doctors are there and want to do that. But when they get out of medical school and they get into the real world, they realize that there's a game that they have to play in order to survive as a doctor. You have to see patients, one right after the other, within 8 minutes, 5 minutes of each other, in order to get the volume of money to pay off all of your bills and have some kind of lifestyle for you and your family. So I believe that once they get into that cycle, they can't get out. And the prescription drugs are only band-aiding the problem. If you have type 2 diabetes, or if you have arthritis, you have joint inflammation, so they're going to give you something to reduce the inflammation. They're going to give you something for diabetes to lower your blood sugar. When, if we stopped, took time, figured out what your nutrition was, we could lower inflammation without prescription drugs. So everything that we can do, we can take control over, and that gives us great power. That gives us great strength, because now if you need brain surgery, if you need heart surgery, if you break your arm, you can go to a doctor. But if you have issues with chronic illness, or if you have issues with weight loss resistance, we can manage those ourselves. And the reason I know this is because now, as I've gotten older and I've started to move into this research and learning about chronic illness and how to reverse it, my clients come to me with type 2 diabetes and we reverse it. I mean, we come with PCOS and we're able to reverse it, so that I know that it works. Taking somebody from dis-ease, and the definition of dis-ease is moving somebody from ease. So what we are doing is bringing you back to ease. So I call this the 4 pillars of optimum health and living a peak performance life. So the first one is activity. Now, remember when I was telling you back in the early 90s, 20 years ago, you could muscle through, you could grit, and through determination, you could blood, sweat, and tears, and just keep going and pushing through and finally get that weight off. If you're living in a sympathetic dominance mode all the time and you're already stressed, even the good stress of working out is going to cause more stress, and which is going to cause more inflammation. So we have to be very careful. We still have to move. We have to exercise, but we have to do it in a specific way. Hours in the gym is not it. We have to be 15 to 20 minutes of exercise, high intensity, to get yourself out of that sympathetic dominance mode to parasympathetic once you finish your activity. The second thing is supplementation. We all have nutritional gaps. So nutritional gaps have to be filled with supplements because no matter how much we eat today, we're still not going to get the right macro and micronutrients and the vitamins that we need to sustain a real healthy body. So in addition to regular supplementation, you need to have anti-inflammatories. And I'm not talking about Advil or Aleve. I'm talking about anti-inflammatories like omega-3s. Those are good anti-inflammatories that help reduce inflammation in the body. Okay. Another thing would be adaptogens. Adaptogens are the natural way of dealing with stress. So rather than taking a prescription drug because you can't deal with something, we have adaptogens like maca root or rhodiola or Panax ginseng, which will help giving you a calming sensation. And I'm going to give you a hack right now for sleeping. A lot of people go to melatonin or go to Ambien for sleep, right? Now, if you take a 5-HTP pill, right, it's a capsule, it's a neurotransmitter support and helps with serotonin. You eat one berry with it right before bed. One berry, not a handful of berries, just one berry. You're gonna sleep like a baby. My wife and I do it every night, and we're out. Our watches monitor our sleep. We get more deep sleep than we get light sleep. So that's a hack if you can't get enough sleep, because you've got to have that rest and recovery. The next thing is your nutrition. You've got to stop eating packaged meals. If it says partially genetically modified, I don't know how you can partially genetically modify something. It's either genetically modified or it's not genetically modified. If it says it on the box, if it says it on the package, if your food is coming from a package, you need to stop eating it. If you truly want to get healthy, if that is the goal. You need to eat light and you need to drink clean. Eating light doesn't necessarily mean that you're only going to have a piece of cabbage. Eating light means that all of your food must come from the sun. It has to have been in the sun for some period of time, and it needs to have been living at some period in time. The other thing is drinking clean, making sure you're getting pure, clean water. Stay away from the sodas. Stay away from the juices. Stay away from the sugar. Because especially if you have a food allergy or if you do have a chronic illness, sugar creates inflammation. So you need to stay away from grains, stay away from dairy, stay away from sugars and processed foods. That will help the body heal naturally and get you back to a state of parasympathetic dominance. Okay? And then the last thing is probably the most important, and that is rest and recovery. We don't do enough of that. Rest and recovery can mean meditation. It can mean prayer. It can mean visualization, hypnotherapy, definitely sleep, which I just gave you a hack for that you can try, go to your health food store and try tonight. The other thing that you can do is breathing. Now, breathing is the only thing that you can do somatic or autonomic in your nervous system. You can't control your breath, and at the same time, you can control your breath, and it's the only thing that can get you from sympathetic to parasympathetic, just in your breath work. Now, the best way to do that is 4-8-4-8 in that cycle. You're going to keep your mouth shut. You're going to breathe in through your nose. You're going to breathe in for 4. You're going to breathe out for 8. Breathe in for 4. Breathe out for 8. Not only are you going to be breathing in through your nose, you want big breaths through your stomach, through your belly. Those are going to help with digestion. They're going to increase your immune system, and they're going to increase your energy. If you're about to do something, a lot of times, get fired up for something, we're like, and then what happens? Oh man, I'm tired, right? Sometimes if you reverse it and you go slow in with your breath and long out with the hold and breathe out, that's enough to increase your energy and get you fired up. In closing, we have the ability to change our lives. We have the ability to be empowered and have the confidence to know that we are in charge of our health. And that is great power in that. It is time for a paradigm shift. And I hope that you guys are going to join me, each and every one of you, so that we can all move forward and be healthy and live a peak performance life together. Thank you.